Accessibility Directorate. Accessibility Directorate. Section 10, subsection 1. The Accessibility Directorate is hereby established. Section 10, subsection 2. The role of the Accessibility Directorate is to A. Support the implementation and administration of this Act and the regulations. B. Address broader disability-related initiatives by acting as a central government mechanism to ensure that the concerns of persons with disabilities respecting policy, program development, and delivery are advanced and considered by the government. Section 11, subsection 1. The minister shall appoint an executive director and the staff of the Accessibility Directorate. Section 11, subsection 2. The executive director shall lead the Accessibility Directorate and liaise with the board. Section 11, subsection 3. The staff of the Accessibility Directorate shall be appointed pursuant to the Civil Service Act. Section 12. The Accessibility Directorate shall A. Provide policy, programming, communication, and administrative support on all aspects of this Act and the regulations. B. Conduct research and develop and implement programs of public education and awareness on the purpose of this Act. C. Examine and review measures, policies, practices, and other requirements to improve opportunities for persons with disabilities. And D. Identify and study issues of concern to persons with disabilities and recommend action where appropriate. Accessibility Advisory Board. Section 13, subsection 1. There shall be an Accessibility Advisory Board consisting of 12 members appointed by the Governor and Council on the recommendation of the Minister. Section 13, subsection 2. In making recommendations to the Governor and Council for the purpose of subsection 1, the Minister shall take into consideration A. The skills and assets the Minister considers necessary to ensure an effective and optimally functioning board. And B. Representation by stakeholder groups that will be subject to the accessibility standards. Section 13, subsection 3. The majority of the members of the board must be persons with disabilities. Section 14, subsection 1. A person appointed to the board holds office for a term of 3 years. Section 14, subsection 2. No person may be appointed to the board for more than 2 consecutive terms. Section 15, subsection 1. The Governor and Council, on the recommendation of the Minister, may designate members of the board as the chair and the vice chair of the board. Section 15, subsection 2. The vice chair shall act as chair if the chair is absent or unable to act, or when authorized to act by the chair. Section 16, subsection 1. The board shall hold at least 4 regular meetings in each year and meet with the minister at least once every 12 months. Section 16, subsection 2. The board shall prepare a summary report after each regular meeting and make the report publicly available. Section 16, subsection 3. The board shall annually prepare a report of its activities and operations during the preceding fiscal year, file it with the minister, and make the report publicly available. Section 17. The board shall advise and make recommendations to the minister about accessibility, and in particular shall A. Suggest measures, policies, practices, and requirements that may be implemented by the government to achieve accessibility. B. Assess whether existing measures, policies, practices, and requirements are consistent with the purpose of this Act. C. Set priorities for the establishment and content of accessibility standards and the timelines for their implementation. D. Set long-term accessibility objectives for furthering the purpose of this Act. And E. Respond to requests for accessibility advice from the minister. Section 18, subsection 1. The board shall, with the approval of the minister, establish standard development committees to assist the board with making recommendations to the minister on the content and implementation of accessibility standards. Section 18, subsection 2. The board shall prepare terms of reference for each standard development committee that include deadlines for each stage of the standard development process. Section 18, subsection 3. The board may, with the approval of the minister, establish a subcommittee of technical experts and other individuals familiar with issues specific to the standard being developed. Section 19, subsection 1. A standard development committee established under Section 18 must have A. 1/2 of its membership consist of persons with disabilities or representatives from organizations representing persons with disabilities. B. Representatives of organizations and classes of organizations likely to be affected by the standard being developed. And C. Representatives from departments of the government that have responsibilities related to the standard being developed. Section 19, subsection 2. A person does not need to be a member of the board to be a member of a committee or subcommittee. Section 20, subsection 1. The board, committee, and subcommittee members not employed in the public service of the province shall be paid such remuneration as is determined by the minister. Section 20, subsection 2. The board, committee, and subcommittee members shall be reimbursed for their reasonable expenses incurred in the performance of their duties.